Toya and Reginae is a fabulous, playful, and very revealing look at Atlanta's most dynamic mother-daughter duo. Get an eye-opening, up-close and personal look at the glamorous, exciting, and sometimes chaotic lives of this close-knit mother-daughter power duo. From Toya juggling her new marriage, new baby, and new businesses, to Reginae fighting to balance her hyper-intense social life, love life, and the pressures of fame, one thing's for sure. These two always have each other's backs. Start your free 7-day trial and stream Toya and Reginae, now on All Black.
If you find it challenging to change careers or to get started in a new field where you have little experience, there's good news. You probably already have what are called transferable skills, abilities like communication, organization, and teamwork that are highly sought after by employers. The Black Information Network and Career Builder launched the 100,000 Careers Initiative to empower Black job seekers to take that next career step. To learn more about your transferable skills, book a free one-on-one job coaching session today at careerbuilder.com/BIN. That's careerbuilder.com/BIN.
You can count on your health insurance to be there for you when an illness or injury happens, but you may not be as covered as you think. Even with major medical coverage, there can still be out-of-pocket costs and expenses. Aflac supplemental insurance can help close the gap between what your health insurance covers and what it doesn't. Aflac pays cash that can be put towards medical expenses like copays, and even non-medical expenses like groceries or rent. Get help with expenses health insurance doesn't cover. Visit aflac.com to learn more.
Hi, listeners. Welcome back. I'm Nedra Glover-Tawwab, and you need to hear this. Today, we'll be reading a letter about not being taken seriously in your career field among your family, which is something that I happen to have a lot of experience with, right? I am a licensed therapist, and I can count on one hand, I want to say one finger, but I'll give folks a little more credit. How many people are into, mental health in my family? I think that just because we have this professional expertise, it doesn't mean that it will trickle down to our loved ones. So if you're a doctor, it doesn't mean that everybody in your family is following your medical advice. If you are a hairstylist, it doesn't mean that everybody in your family is like, oh my gosh, I have to tend to my ends and I have to get them clipped every 8 weeks. Sometimes when we have this professional expertise or experience, we want to be taken seriously. It's like, I know what depression is. Why won't anybody listen to me? And, we have to recognize that they're not listening because they're not patients. They're not listening because they're not in the space of maybe wanting to hear it sometimes. Or, maybe if somebody else in the same field mentioned it, it would be a different story. I have talked to several family members and I've had them say, you're my therapist. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I am a daughter, a cousin, a friend, a sister, a lot of stuff. I'm not your therapist. I'm not. I think with therapists in particular, thankfully, our ethical system does not allow us to take on, friends and family and even people we know as clients. But that does not stop people from trying to get me to diagnose someone or to give them some advice or to listen a little more to certain situations. And honestly, I love to be helpful. And that's why I went into the field that I'm in, because I love, listening to people and, sometimes just listening and other times maybe helping them sort through some things. But there are other times where I want to talk about my stuff. I want to talk about, what's going on with me. And I need to be able to have those spaces in my friendships and in my family relationships. So often, it is me setting that boundary. All right. Enough about that. Let's talk about, what we're watching on TV. I am a therapist, but I am not your therapist. I am a therapist, but I don't have any wonderful techniques when it comes to listening to my family member talk about a family problem. I revert to my normal self, because I'm in these situations with people. It's very hard to have, these therapeutic or work skills outside of a work setting. So in our personal relationships, sometimes perhaps we are looking for this professional respect, and we're not in the profession. We're at a family gathering. We're not at a conference. We are not in the space to get the accolades or the praise that we may want. And sometimes, it could be that people are overdoing it. If you're in finance, or let's say you're a tax accountant, maybe you do have a lot of family members like, oh my gosh, I had this issue with my taxes. Can you help me? I have a lot of fun ways to get people off your trail. One way that I love to encourage for my clients who are in service professions is maybe have a family rate. Sometimes with family, we don't think, oh, I should charge this person for their hair. Oh, I should charge this person for their taxes. Maybe it's not your typical rate, but it needs to be something. You still are using your degree, you're using your education, you're using, all of that knowledge. You're using the same skill set that you would use as if someone paid you. So perhaps there is some fee attached to those things when you can work with your family members. Now, as I stated, as a therapist, that's not an option for me. But for some of us in service industries, it's certainly an option to have, hey, if I help you with your taxes is $150. If I do your hair, my typical price is $85, but for you, it's $40. Having those boundaries around how we show up in our families with our work life is really important. And then also knowing that they're not our professional peers. So sometimes expecting them to understand things that are based on our careers, we may be preaching to the wrong choir, right? So let's get into today's letter. I'd love for us to sort through some of these work-life divide issues.
Hi, Nedra. So I'm a veterinarian. I struggle a lot when people complain to me about the cost of care when the cost is appropriate. I'm also really often treated like I'm not a real doctor, and I can see clearly that I'm not treated with the same respect that MDs are. I went to medical school too, and I am also a doctor. Humans are mammals, and mammal medicine is mammal medicine. There isn't that large of a difference. It feels personally insulting, especially because as a veterinarian, I act as a GP, surgeon, pathologist, radiologist, ophthalmologist, dermatologist, dentist, criticalist, and like everything in between. I make a pretty decent living, but I'm not rich by any means, and I have student loan debt that I will never be able to pay off.
Well, I just learned a lot about veterinarians in that one statement. Oh my gosh, wow. I totally trust veterinarians now with everything. I mean, it sounds like everything that could be done is done. I knew that. Of course, I have a dog and I've taken a dog to a vet. I've seen, oh, they do the teeth, they clean the ears. It's like going to an all-in-one person. Wow. Wow. As I'm reading that, I wonder if the people that complain about, the cost of care or who don't see you as a real doctor are aware of what you just stated, that very critical and clear way that you stated that. I mean, that was like, maybe two sentences where you say, I act as a GP, a surgeon, a pathologist, a radiologist, and, so on and so forth. That could be a wonderful way to make people aware of all of the roles that you have in the title of veterinarian. It's not that you're doing one thing, you're doing 14 things. If you're on a plane and someone says, is a doctor here, you will certainly be standing up. You know how to do all the things. You are an MD. So I wonder if sometimes people are not aware of that in the way that you so clearly stated it. And then in terms of the cost, we have this in common as well. I think mental health is one of those things that people expect quality service for a very low cost. And unfortunately, many therapists, they may charge above $100 to see a client. In my area, I would say it's anywhere from maybe $200 to $300 if you don't have insurance. And just to explain that really quickly a little bit is therapists are beholden to whatever rate the insurance company says. And sometimes based on, other things in your practice like rent and paying for a practice management software, paying taxes, paying, for insurances, paying your salary, paying your health care. Sometimes those rates are not enough to be able to make, again, not a rich living, but even a decent one with student loans. It's not necessarily a high paying field. So some therapists have said, I don't want to agree to, maybe being paid $70 or even $130 when the value of my work is $250 and I have the opportunity to see less clients, therefore less burnout, certainly less paperwork. I would like to choose the route of this being my rate. So there are times when cost is certainly a challenge for people, and they will put it on, the healthcare provider. Oh my gosh, veterinarian services are so high. Oh my gosh, therapy is so high. There are often cheaper options. Are those options the best quality? When I had a dog, when I had my first dog, I have a dog now, so I shouldn't say that. But when I had my first dog, I remember there were like clinics you could go to and you might could get a $10 rabies shot or a $15 this shot. Well, the lines were very long. I mean, it was affordable, but it's like you got to go on a Saturday morning. I lived in Detroit at the time. It's snowing outside. You're standing in this long line for this $10 service. Maybe there are some people who will say, well, I'll go to this vet on any day that I choose at the selected time, and I'll pay $150 for this shot. That's not to say that, that service isn't available, but you certainly won't get it in the same sort of way. So sometimes when we're thinking about, the cost of something, we also have to think about the convenience of the higher cost of something. When I think about, the higher cost of therapy, it is typically, the best benefit is you're probably going to a practice where, therapists have smaller caseloads. Therefore, there's less burnout. They probably have more resources. They have some, maybe a higher level of credentials and training and all of these sorts of things versus, maybe going to a place where you can only get an appointment once a month because they're overwhelmed with clients. So sometimes when we're thinking about the cost of care, we also have to factor in quality. So what's affordable for you and what's quality it can be different sometimes. And it's not always on the provider. Providers certainly want to be able to help people, but they should also be able to make a decent living. So certainly consider that when we're saying like, oh my gosh, that's too high. If it is too high for you, there are certainly other resources available. And it could be that it's not this vet. It's not this hairstylist. It's not this therapist. It's someone else that's cheaper, but it's not going to be this person who has this higher price.
Bases loaded, risk basis up. Diversification yield curve risk market cap.
JP Morgan Wealth Management knows the world is full of financial noise.
Commodities, market cap, capital gains, capital gains.
We help you cut through it.
Securities.
Trade online with our expert research and powerful screeners. Go to jpmorgan.com/trading to make online commission-free trades on stocks, ETFs, and options. JP Morgan Wealth Management offers investment products and services through JP Morgan Securities LLC, member FINRA/SIPC.
Toya and Reginae is a fabulous, playful, and very revealing look at Atlanta's most dynamic mother-daughter duo. Get an eye-opening, up-close and personal look at the glamorous, exciting, and sometimes chaotic lives of this close-knit mother-daughter power duo. From Toya juggling her new marriage, new baby, and new businesses, to Reginae fighting to balance her hyper-intense social life, love life, and the pressures of fame, one thing's for sure. These two always have each other's backs. Start your free 7-day trial and stream Toya and Reginae now on All Black. Having your health insurance card in your purse or wallet can be a good feeling. It makes you think, okay, cool. If I get sick or injured, I'm covered. Except you may not be as covered as you think. There could be gaps in your healthcare coverage. It's true. Even with major medical coverage, there can still be out-of-pocket costs and expenses. But that's where Aflac comes in. Aflac is a leader in supplemental insurance. They can help close the gap between what your health insurance covers and what it doesn't. When you're sick or injured, bills can rack up fast. Aflac pays cash that can be put towards medical expenses like copays, and even non-medical expenses like groceries or rent. Look, getting sick or injured can happen, but financial hardship doesn't have to. Get help with expenses health insurance doesn't cover. Visit aflac.com to learn more.
Let's keep listening.
And this disrespect doesn't just stop at work. I also really struggle with my partner's parents. They do complain about the price of care, but there are like much deeper issues there. They often ask my opinion on their cat or dog, but then don't follow any of my recommendations at all and complain that what I suggested didn't work, or they just argue with me as if I don't know what I'm talking about. This goes for both medical and behavioral issues, and this has become a bigger issue recently because they have young grandchildren, and how they're managing the dog around the grandchildren is setting the dog up for failure. They're putting it in a super stressful situation that would make even the calmest dog anxious and likely to nip. And this is so, so hard for me to watch, especially when I see an accident waiting to happen. But they just won't make the adjustments I recommend. I even provided a detailed handout from a highly respected veterinary school that I don't think they've even bothered to read through in regards to managing dogs around young children.
The number one sign that we need to stop giving people advice is when we become frustrated with them not listening. When people repeatedly do not listen, stop giving them advice. Advice is optional. You don't have to give it to them. You don't even have to listen to what I'm saying right now. You could say, nope, I want to still give them advice. You do not have to say, oh, this is what you should do with your dog. There are a ton of phrases that you can use to just skirt around giving them advice. You might want to say something like, well, what did your vet tell you? Have you Googled this? Did you look it up on WebMD? I don't know what they have for, dogs or cats, but just lead them toward a solution that does not involve you. I have no recommendation that you won't listen to, because what I will not be is frustrated by saying things that you don't listen to. This is an opportunity for you to not be at work. I am off the clock. If you want some recommendations from me, come into my office. Come to see me at the clinic, and I will give you recommendations when I have on my white lab coat. As I am sitting here in my jeans, I have no recommendations. So you can lead them towards another path. You can also, let them know that, hey, did you listen to what I said last time? Last time you had this issue, I said X, Y, and Z. Did you follow the pamphlet that I gave to you? What did you see on the internet? There are so many times where we see like an issue going wrong that we feel like, oh my gosh, I have this expertise, I have to jump in here. And you really don't. I see a lot of mental health issues. Oh my gosh, when it's people who I have a relationship with and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're so anxious and they don't know it yet. Or they're, in this episode of mania and they don't know it yet. Or they are having an anger outburst and I know it's because of their trauma. It can be so hard to not just say like, it's your issue with your dad. It can be so hard to just, sit back and watch it. But it's really the only choice that I have, because it's not appropriate for me to step in, especially when someone isn't asking for help. And sometimes even when people are saying, hey, here's my issue, what should I do? I have to manage my energy around helping them. If I'm going to be more frustrated as the helper, I choose not to help. I don't want to become upset because you asked me what to do in this relationship, but you're listening to nothing and you keep having the same issue. I don't want to get mad at you about this stuff. I want to be in relationship with you. It sounds like you are going out of your way to be helpful to someone who perhaps doesn't want the help in the way that you want to offer it. Sometimes people want to hear what affirms what they already believe. So even giving someone a detailed handout from a highly respected veterinarian school about what they should be doing with, their dog is, it's wonderful to do when someone wants to listen to it. So it's not a fail on your part. It's just a need to maybe understand that they're not ready to listen or they just don't want to. And so you may have, very helpful information. You know your stuff, it sounds like, but it doesn't mean that the other person has to listen, whether you're a professional or not.
Breaking financial news. The market is markedly down today.
This just in, inflation sensation is the
Breaking news. The latest financial bubble. Will it pop?
JP Morgan Wealth Management knows the world is full of financial noise.
Non-fungible tokens take ride to the moon.
Using insights from a team of global experts, our advisors can help create a strategy based on your goals and keep you on track. Go to jpmorgan.com/advice to schedule a free investment checkup. JP Morgan Wealth Management offers investment products and services through JP Morgan Securities LLC, member FINRA/SIPC.
The legacy of Michael Bivins is being told in this highly anticipated documentary, The Hustle of That 617 Mike Biv. The docufilm goes into detail about the personal life and professional career of the New Edition and Belle Biv DeVoe frontman. From his dreams of being an NBA player to joining New Edition and later being the visionary behind Boyz II Men and more, the documentary features guests like his 5 bandmate brothers, Jay-Z, Fat Joe, Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson, Dougie Fresh, Snoop Dogg, and others. Start your free 7-day trial and stream The Hustle of That 617 Mike Biv only on All Black. Having your health insurance card in your purse or wallet can be a good feeling. It makes you think, okay, cool. If I get sick or injured, I'm covered. Except you may not be as covered as you think. There could be gaps in your healthcare coverage. It's true. Even with major medical coverage, there can still be out-of-pocket costs and expenses. But that's where Aflac comes in. Aflac is a leader in supplemental insurance. They can help close the gap between what your health insurance covers and what it doesn't. When you're sick or injured, bills can rack up fast. Aflac pays cash that can be put towards medical expenses like copays, and even non-medical expenses like groceries or rent. Look, getting sick or injured can happen, but financial hardship doesn't have to. Get help with expenses health insurance doesn't cover. Visit aflac.com to learn more.
So the professional boundaries when you're watching a dangerous situation, I wonder with pets, like who do we call if a pet is being harmed? Is that calling the city, the county, the animal control? Perhaps there's a number you call when you see pet endangerment. And I know that sounds extreme, but sometimes we need to utilize the resources that are available to all people to be able to manage some of these situations. Perhaps in your family, there is a child protective service issue and you don't want to be the person to say, hey, stop hitting your kid. Well, there's someone who can intervene. Many of the times these things are confidential, although your previous concerns will point towards you. You have to be willing to take the heat for being the person to call, but you may want to, just let them know, hey, as a veterinarian, this is really hard for me to watch. And if there is some further harm done in this situation, I might have to X, Y, and Z. You just sort of put that out there as a potential consequence and see if they are able to, change their behaviors. You could give them that opportunity, or you could call, or you could just watch it and, sort of see what happens there. I mean, you have options, but I would say in dangerous situations, there are typically places that we can report things to. You need to hear this. It is not our job to make, force, convince, or persuade people to listen to us. Even when we have the right information, there are some people who want to do their own thing. They want to suffer some sort of consequence that maybe they don't see that we know they will suffer. But it is not our job to make people listen. We can give them information, and from there, they have the opportunity to apply it or not. When you get to the point of being frustrated that people are not applying the things that you're saying to them, you have the power to stop offering advice. You Need to Hear This is an iHeart production hosted by me, Nedra Glover Tawwab. Our executive producer is Joelle Monique. Our senior producer and editor is Mia Dawn Taylor. Send us a voice memo with your questions about boundaries and relationships at youneedtohearthis@iheartmedia.com. You know, I'm really interested in people who want to talk more about frenemies, postpartum, and father-son relationships. If you are having any challenges in those areas or you're looking to process something in those areas, please send us a voice note or write a letter, and I would love to talk through those issues with you on You Need to Hear This.
You're at a place you just discovered. And being an American Express Platinum card member with Global Dining Access by Resi helped you score tickets to quite the dining experience.
Okay, chef.
You're looking at something you've never seen before, much less tasted. After your first bite, you say, nothing, because you're speechless. See how to elevate your dining experiences at americanexpress.com/withAmex. Don't live life without it. Terms apply.
If you find it challenging to change careers or to get started in a new field where you have little experience, there's good news. You probably already have what are called transferable skills, abilities like communication, organization, and teamwork that are highly sought after by employers. The Black Information Network and Career Builder launched the 100,000 Careers Initiative to empower Black job seekers to take that next career step. To learn more about your transferable skills, book a free one-on-one job coaching session today at careerbuilder.com/BIN. That's careerbuilder.com/BIN.
Want to know the secret to making amazing home-cooked meals? It's your cookware. Hi, I'm Jake. I founded Made in Cookware because I believe home cooks like you deserve to enjoy professional quality kitchen tools at honest prices. Our cookware has thousands of 5-star reviews and was chosen by Chef Grant Achatz to outfit the kitchen of Alinea, Chicago's only Michelin 3-star restaurant. We're so confident you'll love our cookware that we offer free shipping, free returns, and a 45-day risk-free trial. Upgrade your kitchen today at madeincookware.com. That's MADEIN cookware.com. And cookware.com. And cookware.com. And cookware.com.